Just, Mr. Chairman, some notes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gilpin has been just reassigned to the airport committee.
I see.
So we'll have a replacement for him when the council selects somebody. And then Ruben Norton called in with the flu, and Peter Venegas is out of town. And Ms. De Leon said she might make it.
Perfect.
She called in. She's not gonna make it.
She's not gonna make it? Okay. She's not gonna make it.
Moving on to approval of the minutes, has everyone had a chance to review what was discussed at our last meeting, December 12th, 2018? If there's no changes and it's an accurate recital of what was discussed at our last meeting, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second the motion.
All those in favor? Motion carries. The next section would be citizen communications. Does anyone have anything to report on that?
I just wanted to introduce Ms. Blasita Lopez. She's our new assistant director. And of course, everybody knows Mr. Central. And I should mention that we have a new committee member, Bianca Bruce.
Nice to meet you, Bianca. Wonderful. Discussion and possible action on city's recycling program.
So I was hoping that the recycling coordinator would be here today, but I just got a text that she's not going to be able to make it. But the committee certainly can discuss this issue.
Does anyone have anything to add? Would anyone like to discuss this issue at the present time?
I know Mr. Gonzalez, I think what your concerns were mainly on just on the aluminum in particular, and the fact that more can be done. Is that correct?
Correct.
Again, let me try and get the recycling coordinator here for the next meeting, and I can task her with what the city's doing and what maybe can be done to improve.
Okay. The next item would be discussion of diesel exhaust fluid and fuel efficiency. I think we touched on this at the last meeting.
Correct. So I had fleet. Certainly this doesn't speak to anything outside of the city, but I did have the fleet director run a report. I know that the committee had talked about it. Mr. Martinez, Mr. Gilpin talked about the diesel vehicles that use the diesel emissions fluid, and that they found that there was actually a decrease in fuel efficiency versus their diesels prior to it. So anyway, we ran a report and just trying to compare apples with apples. We have a spreadsheet here of similar vehicles that do have the DEF and the ones that don't, and their fuel efficiency in the hours per gallon. I believe these are trash trucks. But you can see they according to this, their average hour per gallon works out to be about the same.
Identical. Okay. The next item on the agenda would be discussion of any items for our next meeting. I don't know if you have any ideas, but for yes, sir.
I just want to say that I did some research about.
Oh, thank you.
So people, you can take them home, read them, and get just more information about how cities are dealing with this and what grants are out there, and where cities are concentrating as far as their vehicles. What's happening in Europe also, and basically switching to diesel due to carbon dioxide affecting the climate versus nitrous oxide produced by diesel, which is affecting people's health. And, there's talk also about about the efficiency. If one improves the efficiency of the diesel engine, the production of nitrous oxides increases. The pressure, air to pressure ratio is affected. But basically, I read that there's out there some already equipment, electronic equipment that can bypass systems that are placed in the vehicles to control the emissions. So this can be bypassed already with certain electronic equipment.
I see.
So the trend seems to be more towards electric vehicles and instead of making modifications to diesel engines and things like that.
I see.
But there's just a lot of information I don't.
Thank you for that. And I think Mr. Porter touched on something in our last meeting concerning testing and certain, locations that were maybe sensitive to, environmentally sensitive or were used by people enjoying the outdoors, things of that nature. I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, Mr. Porter? Because, obviously our city has more trucks than the average city, and this is a serious concern to all of us. And I think monitoring would be something that would certainly be in order, and certainly something that we would look to modifying in the future as we have more and more trucks coming to the city.
Instead of just
pass
on the
through
bridge.
the city. Right, yeah, because it's more than just a bridge. It's, we got the Mines Road flooded with trucks,
Right.
359.
359.
Yeah, exactly. I know there's a number of yards out there, and they're residential areas, all of these places, and so I thought that was something that was a good idea and something that maybe we could explore.
And especially with Mines Road and 359, now you're getting this mixed use. You're getting industrial with residential.
Precisely.
And we're getting a lot more complaints because of that mixture.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, that may be after we've had a chance to study, this literature that was produced, maybe we can have a more informed discussion at our next meeting concerning some ideas as to how we could help. Any other discussion on any topic whatsoever? Yes, sir.
Blasita and I just came from a meeting with the planning department, and currently FEMA is going to come down and audit the city on our floodplain ordinance so that we are in good standing with the NFIP. And after we get through that hurdle, it was actually a charge from council to enter into the community rating system, which goes above and beyond the minimum standards. Right now we meet the minimum standards, but
Right.
once we enter into the community rating system, depending on how we score, that will actually lower premiums for anybody that has flood insurance.
Excellent.
And so we hope to enter into that program. But one of the items on there is coming up with plans. Let's see, do you remember that?
It's a flood response plan, and it would be governed by something called the Public Protection Information Committee.
Thank you. And so I think that this committee is probably a good place to start with that, and to start working through that. And I think it's a very worthwhile project to go through because, again, it's going to result in substantial savings to anybody that has flood insurance. So
Sure.
I would like to put that on next agenda.
Excellent.
And then I guess the committee would also like the recycling and then the fuel efficiency, or do you want to just do general air quality? Or
Whatever you think is best. I mean, we could discuss air quality generally, and then.
And then also, I think hopefully we can get, if council appoints somebody, I think that we're probably due for new elections for chair and vice chair.
Does anyone else have any other business to add for our next meeting? I guess with that, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at this point. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.